step this way, step. Yeah, it has been an insane week. First, I wanted to start off with, well, let me start off with corrections. I don't know where my sticky note went because I took notes on the last episode. I know the first one, for those of you who are listening, when I was talking about the all knowing point of view for my dreams last week, I said omniscient. The word is omniscient and it means all knowing. And then I had, yeah, I don't know where it went. I need new stuffing for these pillows because these are so flat. I've had these pillows. I think I've had them for, honestly, I want to say maybe like over 6 years because I feel like I know that I had them for sure when I first moved in here, like the first time I moved out and was like a big girl. Um, and then I feel like I had them in college too because I had a futon and I like my pillows. Um, so that would have been, I feel like at least since like 20, let me see, I graduated 2019. I wasn't an RA. Like I lived at home that last year. I was an RA for 2 years. So I was an RA 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018. So I feel like I had them since at least 2017, 2018. Um, and so I say all that to say these are in desperate need of filling. And I've been in Michael's and I almost bought pillow filling, but I'm like, it's not a necessity right now. I'm gonna just have to get over my frumpy pillows. But anyway, so Kendrick, Drake, all this madness. First of all, I am sticking beside my baby daddy J. Cole because he knew that Kendrick was in fucking insane, and he said, you know what? I'm in the business of minding my business, so I'm gonna go back. And y'all sat here and y'all try to clown this nigga for not stepping up the rap beef, but this is not rap beef, okay? This is literally a war between these two. And honestly, you know, I was interested in seeing where it goes, but I don't think anybody thought of this. So if you're confused, this is like, and for all my like people who are like really into rap and really, really following this, do not cook me, do not fry me. Send corrections to two scrippers one pole at gmail.com. DM me at two scrippers one pole on Instagram. Okay, don't fry me to smithereens, okay? Because first of all, I don't be I told y'all the first time that I heard Money to Blow, it was 3 months after. Like, I don't be listening to music. This is the first time ever that I'm actually on top of things. And that's because it was just coming out so fast that I was like, all right. And because I had already talked about it, I was like, let me see what's happening. Anyway, so my understanding is that this initially started however many years ago when Kendrick was featured on a song called Control. I tried to look this song up and listen to it. I don't remember it. But that's supposedly where it started, and he kind of like playfully dissed a whole bunch of like the main rappers. And Drake was the one who was kind of like moving funny after it, like even though it was just like kind of like a playful like, how niggas be doing. So Drake was like in his feelings. So fast forward to first person shooter. Supposedly, Drake reached out to Kendrick to feature on that, and Kendrick didn't said no. So then he got J. Cole, and then J. Cole has said like it's K. Dot, me, and Drizzy as like the top three. So then, and that was back in October. So then, that's when Kendrick was like, "Fuck the big three, it's just me." And so now, I said I still think that y'all really hyped that song because I was really thinking it was about to be like on the level of like how um Not Like Us. How that like beat, that's what I thought. I thought it was really about to be like like a club jam. And then when I was sitting in the car and that song came on, it was so dry. Like I didn't realize it was a song between Future, him, and Metro Boomin. So when the song came on, I would first of all, I don't even really listen to them like that. So when the song came on, it was like real dry. And then I just so happened to like have my ears on when he said that. And I was like, it ain't no way the universe is going this crazy over this verse. But now it also makes a little bit more sense, right? So then, after that, that's when J. Cole released his song. Then he apologized and then he removed it. So then it was the last episode that I'm also referring to. What was the name of that? Oh fuck. That's really coming out your fucking ass, bitch. Yes. Episode I think that was like 30. No, 36 was Attack of the Squirrels. So the one before that, 35. I heard said something about Kendrick's response was dope. Apparently, I think that was AI. This whole like I can't. Okay, this is another reason why I just don't keep up with things because in today's world, you have to question is anything real? Everything's AI. It feels like. So I'm assuming because I don't hear people talking about it. I'm assuming that was like somebody AI a freestyle that I saw. Anywho, so then I think it was Drake released Tailor Made Freestyle, and then Kendrick. Hold on, y'all. I should have wrote this down. I had it. That's the crazy part. Now I'm on the internet talking about stuff, and people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about. I promise you. Let me see. Somebody tweeted it the other day. Let me see. Okay. So, yes. Kendrick dropped Like That. Cole did 7-minute drill and then apologized for 7-minute drill and then deleted 7-minute drill. So then Drake did push-ups and then he released Tailor Made Freestyle. So then Kendrick released Euphoria and then he released 616 in LA. Then Drake did Family Matters, and apparently there was like a parody on IG. I didn't see that because I don't even think I follow Drake. Then Kendrick did Meet the Grams, and then Not Like Us, and then Drake did The Heart Part 6. So it has been intense. And mind you, like 616 in LA and The Heart Part 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 songs were released in response to one another in a matter of 2 days. That is crazy. And the internet, yo, I've been cracking up. Like, okay, so if you follow me on Instagram, and I haven't really been doing it as of, also to those of you who are listening, I'm eating seeds. But I'm pretty sure you probably figured that out. Anyway, yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I go on like rants on my story. Not really rants, that's not the best word that I want to use, but like threads. I be dying laughing. If I post a thread back to back to back, please understand that I'm in here cackling, gasping for air, and crying. I think that shit is so funny, okay? So for like that whole time period, all that was in my story, cause it was really the J. Cole memes that was getting me. Cause y'all tried to clown my baby daddy, and he knew what the fuck was up. He knew that this man Kendrick was a menace. And as for like, it's like, how do you fact check all this stuff? Where do we go from here? And then, but okay, so I think overall, I think J. Cole had the best disc, and I really wish that he didn't delete it. But now seeing Kendrick, That shit, sound business decision. I love that for him. Okay, back to minding his business, and nobody's even really talking about him anymore. Besides the funny memes about how he be minding his business. Um, and then I really Euphoria. He didn't get me until like the third verse. It took me a while. It was what once the beat switched up because I was like, Kendrick, what is going on? Like this slow ass beat. Um, but also Kendrick, like to be a Kendrick fan, you really have to be a little bit more lyrically inclined. A couple of his songs I had to listen to like maybe twice, 2 to 3 times before I really got like, oh, now I get what you're saying. Um, so that's something that I'm sorry, y'all. This seed was so good. But yeah, to be a Kendrick fan, you gotta be a little bit more lyrically inclined. So like your average man wouldn't get it. But also he's just saying some crazy things. Like there's so much I just don't even know. Ugh, this is crazy. I was interested in seeing where it goes, but I did not think it was gonna come here. I didn't really know if J. Cole was gonna, what was gonna come with that. But this I didn't expect. And there's like, you know, Kendrick was just dropping them and saying some crazy things. Um, which at this point, Drake tried to come back and say, I think if I had to do an order of like who really did anything, I would say Drake is at the bottom. And he tried to come back with Heart Part 6. Um, to be accused of being a pedo, then bring up somebody's sexual trauma is crazy. That is crazy. Inexcusable in my opinion. So I was really like, oh damn, this band is donezo. But when you listen lyrically, like he got some bars. If you take out all the crazy accusations, well, I mean you can't, because all of it is crazy accusations between the both of them. I am interested in seeing how Kendrick responds. I do think that I do like the way that Drake like kind of in a sense like wrapped it up. Um, I'm just interested to see how Kendrick responds. Um, yeah, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the crazy memes. Um, is there anything else I want to say on that? Because now I just feel like I'm kind of saying the same sentences over again. Um, but yeah, it's been social. I've been on social media, okay, and I've been in here crip walking. Is that what they do in Compton? Don't fry me up, okay? But I can't actually crip walk. I'm a good choreographed dancer, but when when it comes to like dancing, I really don't have the rhythm for that shit. I can be very embarrassing. Um, yeah, I did like I did like Drake's response, the Heart Part 6, however, comma, to just kind of like double down. Both of them just keep doubling down. And at this point, it's like, who can say the craziest thing about each other? And until one of the other fact checks, and it was one line that he was like, oh, um, if I had and somewhere in there, Rick Ross was in there. I kind of listened to his last night, but, what's it called? He had said something. Fuck. What was my train of thought? Damn. Oh, he was saying like, oh, I'm really too famous. Like, if the sexual assault charges were true, don't you think like it would have came to light by now? Sir, you have a lot of money, and we see it all the time where niggas who got money and are famous be sexually assaulting people, and then go years of So it was just kind of like you arguing, but at the end of the day, one of these niggas need to pull up some receipts because this is crazy. Um, yeah. Let me talk about Smino because so Metro Boomin and two, it was like so when Metro Boomin came in and made his BBL Drizzy beat, which is insane. BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy. That shit is hilarious. Um, Everybody hates this nigga. Like, there's so much. I hate the way you walk. I hate the way like, oh god, I felt that hatred that Kendrick has for Drake. Anyway, so Smino, Metro Boomin had made a beat and was like, I'll give a free beat to anybody that can basically body this freestyle. And the freestyle is the one I was just singing like BBL just BBL Drizzy. And so Smino commented on it and was like, bruh. And Metro was like, said something about like, this nigga stole your whole style. Cause Smee Baby with his puff balls and fucking Drake did that shit. Like, oh my god, he always stealing. Drake is black, but he's like a culture vulture for real. Anyway, so Smino, I met him last year. I love him. I talked to him. So Smee Baby, if you're watching this, I love you. And we need to talk because shout out to Nyla if you're listening to this. So I used to work at this ghetto ass winery in DC that is no more. And that's how we met. And like, that is my friend from there. That's the one friend that I maintained. I love her so much. And so, I'm gonna finish these seeds. ASMR. I'm actually about, I have what's it called? A soundbite of me eating a turkey burger. For those of you who like the sound of chewing. And so I'm like, I have the video of me eating a turkey burger, but I also know that chewing isn't everybody's visual. So I'm thinking I want to do the video itself of me chewing in case somebody's like really into that. Because I know mukbangs are a thing. I'm like real close to my mouth and you can see me chewing, and like I don't go like or nothing, but excuse me, you could definitely see some of the turkey. I'll be making some bomb turkey burgers, yo. And like ever since I've been watching, like since I've been editing that video, I really want a turkey burger. But I'm also trying to be more conscious. I'm trying to eat more consciously healthy, and yeah. So I've been munching on cucumbers, which so I usually get the larger ones, and oh okay. I'm gonna get back to, I was talking about Smino. I was talking to Smino, okay? But let me finish my story about the cucumbers. So, I like cucumbers, and I like when I make dinner. I usually end up doing like whatever the protein or meat is, and then like rice, and then my go-to vegetable will be green beans because it's just easier to make. But usually I'll do like broccoli. Sometimes I don't really do asparagus because asparagus make my piss stink, but it's good for me. Shout out Smee. Okay, Coupe say urine. Oh my god, I love you so much. And I just every time I eat asparagus, I immediately just think of that song and just giggle. But it really, honestly, if I be nervous to eat asparagus, because like what if I get dick that day and I'm just really nervous that like I'm a squirt and then the whole room's gonna smell like asparagus. That is insane. Asparagus pussy is crazy. Okay, I'm laughing way too hard. But yeah, so it's like I really whenever I take asparagus out and debate cooking it, the first thought is in my head is like, do I plan on having sex in the next 3 to 5 business days? Because, and I guess if you just drink more water, it'll flush out your system. quicker. So I honestly, I just usually eat asparagus when I'm on my period to just avoid any mishaps. Like I'm just really self-conscious and I don't want the whole room smelling like asparagus cuz that's crazy. Um so that's how I got there. Yeah, it'll usually be broccoli or green beans, and broccoli takes a little bit more time to cook. And honestly, I be so focused on the meat and the rice, so I'll usually cook the rice first, and then I'll start cooking the meat, and then I forget about the vegetables. Um, so as I said, I'm trying to be more conscious of my nutrition, and I was like, all right, what is a green thing that I can, eat or whatever. So I just decided I'm gonna do cucumbers and cut them up, and so it's like easy prep. They're so delicious. The other day I had some catfish, sweet potatoes, and cucumbers, and that the best part of that meal was the cucumbers. So normally I fry the catfish, but this time I baked it, right? And I found a recipe that looked good. It was like a lemon garlic butter catfish, and the seasonings were like it was paprika, oregano, basil, parsley, salt, pepper, garlic powder. Was there onion powder on there? I think I might have just put onion powder on there. And I feel like it might have been one or two other ingredients, but y'all, I didn't have lemon. I didn't have basil. I didn't have parsley. So I just made like a garlic butter with like garlic powder, not even real garlic. And it's crazy because I have minced garlic, so I don't even know what was going through my head. It might have been better that way. But I did garlic powder with butter and onion powder, and then I didn't have, like I said, the basil and the parsley, so I think I just like threw everything else in, and then I might have picked up another seasoning. That shit, and I baked it. I was like, what the fuck is this? It was one of those things that you really just ate it because it was edible. And then the sweet potatoes, I had got them a while ago from Target. Like it was one of those steamable bags. And I didn't want to microwave it, so I cooked it stovetop. But I didn't wait long enough. And so some of the sweet potatoes were still like, and I was trying to debate, do I want them to be more savory or do I want them to be more sweet? So I coated them in cinnamon sugar. Um, and they tasted good. However, I didn't let them sit for the entire time, so they were a little crunchy. So yeah, the cucumbers were the best part of that. And then I didn't realize how fast I was going to eat that cucumber. So I really hate getting in and out the car. Yesterday after I left my internship, I had to stop by the mall to go to Joann's Fabric, and then I needed to get like some hand soap and some toothpaste and all of that stuff. So I had like originally went to Aldi, and all I needed, first of all, I told myself I needed a lemon, but the time for the lemon already passed. But I guess, like, I don't know. So I was like, I just need a singular lemon. So I went to Aldi. They don't have single lemons. They only have the bag. And I was like, I'm not about to pay like $3-4 for a bag of lemons when one, I only want one, and two, I know I'm not going to finish all these fucking lemons. So I had put it in my hand, and then I had got some apples, then I got like 3 cucumbers, then I had got, like, mind you, I was walking around, I didn't have a bag, so I was really just struggling, and them Aldi and Lidl lines be OC, so I got in line, and then I was like, nah, fuck this shit, I'm out, and so I ended up leaving. So then from there, I went to Joann's to get my fabric, and then I went and got a slice of pizza. I know, it was calling my name. Um, and then I went to Shoppers World, and I ended up getting like um, body soap. It was something else I got from there. What was it? What was it? What was it? I got it. I want it. I want it. Toothpaste. Was that it? I think that was it. Um, and then I went to Target because I was like, okay, Target will have the lemon and the cucumbers. So they their singular lemons were all bad, and I could have sworn I picked the one lemon that was good. When I got home, I noticed it had a soft spot. I was about to cry. Then their cucumbers, they had like these long, really skinny looking plastic wrapped cucumbers that I was just like, I don't know about these. And at this point, like I said, I don't like getting in and out the car. I was over the errand running. I just wanted to go home. So I bought bags of like mini cucumbers, and I never had mini cucumbers. And so I was talking to my friend about it, and he was like, you know, I find them best like if you chop them up and include them in like stir fry or something, which I should probably make some stir fry. Ooh, I haven't had stir fry in a while. I should make some stir fry. Um, you could chop them up and put them in stir fry, or like if you do juicing, you could put them in the juicer. But I don't really be doing none of that. And I was like gonna cut them up, and he was like, I don't really know if like they be good. I've been in this bitch snacking on them like they carrots. They are really good. Speaking of that, I felt really good because I took a snack to my internship, and it was cucumbers and carrots. Anyway, back to Smino. And so my coworker, she hit me up the other day, and she was like, please tell me you're free. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, I got tickets to see Smino. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. What you mean? I didn't even know that my baby daddy was going to be in the vicinity. So he came to UMD for their Art Attack, which is funny because my very first concert ever was Art Attack with my brother. That year it was 2014 because it was right before I went to college, and it was Wale, Big Sean. Big Sean was like the headliner. Wale came out before him, and was there another? I think there might have been an opener to Wale, but I don't really remember who. So yeah, that was my very first concert. And so I didn't know anything. She literally was just like, "Are you free? I got tickets." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then we met at the venue. I knew nothing about anything. I just knew that Smee was here, and I was ready to fangirl. And so I they had it in like this gym, I guess you could say. Well, yeah, it was like a gym or outhouse or something like that, and the acoustics were horrible. We sat in like the bowl instead of standing in the pit. And I don't know, maybe it was just like because we were off to the side of the speakers, but I half the time I couldn't tell what was being said. I had no idea. And then I think there was like at one point he played a song that isn't hasn't been released yet, cuz I know I'm pretty much up to date on all his songs. I think the last one, Mr. Something. Sorry, babe. I've been busy. School has been taking me away from you. Um what is it? Mr. Something. I think I listened to that once, and then just never circled back. So I looked at my friend like, is this a song I don't know? And she looked at me like, I don't know what's happening. And then we looked at the crowd, and not a single person was singing along. We were all just kind of knocking our head. So I felt very confirmed in that he played a song that wasn't released because I had no idea what was happening. And the only people, like, everybody was hype, but the only people that were really going hard were the white folk, and that shit was hilarious. I'm like, you just trying to be here. You just that shit was so funny. That's one of my favorite things to do is people watch. So yeah, it was like really hard to hear. And I already told y'all, I think I mentioned it in whatever, I don't remember what the title of that was. It might have been that really coming out your fucking ass, bitch. Cuz I talked, was that the first episode back since Dreamville? I think so. But like, I need the music to be louder than me. Cause sometimes I really just be making up words and going with the vibe. Even when I know the words, but I be getting so excited that everything, like my processing skills, y'all already know, y'all see it every week, how my processing skills get me from point A to point Z. And it's just all types of madness in between. So when I get really hyped up, when my emotions are invested in the music, I just be saying and doing anything. And like, I need the music to be louder than me so that people don't catch on that I'm just out here. Cause I really am a fan and I be listening, but like, I just get so excited I forget. So yeah, it was just like really hard cause I couldn't hear what was happening. I was losing spots. And then it was like it really felt like he ain't really want to be there. I picked up what you was putting down, Smee. You ain't really want to be there. And it was like one point when he first came out. Because first of all, when he came out, there was a I guess students who went to UMD. Shout out to them. It's so cute seeing like people who start out in their music career. And I'm excited to see where they go. It was like fucking 10 niggas on that stage though. It was way too many. But they were all hyped and niggas started jumping off the stage. I was like, please watch your kneecaps. Like that's just where my brain goes whenever I see. And it's crazy because pre-pandemic, I really used to be outside dropping it low. I take one step and my knee cracks in 4 places. It's crazy. It really was a completely different person pre-pandemic. I think about how I was really outside every weekend, Friday through Saturday. And in undergrad, it made no sense how I was able to be in class or teaching all day and then going home, doing homework, going out till go out probably around like 10, 11. Don't get back in the house till maybe like 3 or 4, because that was the ultra bar days. Ultra bar, oh my god, it was like me and Dixie and occasionally like Tal or Katie. No, Molly never went out with us, but usually me, Dixie, and Tal. I'm trying to think, like, was there anybody else? And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you can go back to episode 8, Fart and Water, which is audio only. The video, however, is on Patreon. Or you could go to Sex Life. What is the Sex Life like with kids? That's Dixie, Katie, and Molly. Tal is in Patreon. But she's also on what is this? Oh, Tal and Dixie are in what's the order, your spouse? Oh, and then the unedited version, because there's like 50 versions of that. Like that one is one of those episodes where the raw version is definitely on Patreon, but like the raw true version, y'all not gonna see that because that was crazy. I love them so much and I need to get them back on here. But when it's all 3 of us together, honestly, when it's just me and Dixie, when it's just me and Tal, it's insane. When it's all 3 of us together, oh, that is crazy. But yeah, and then Tal and I have an episode 6, Nothing But Balls. That was funny. And that's funny too, because that was literally the start of my sex work journey. And to just think of all that has transpired since then. I was talking about speed. Oh yeah. So yeah, I used to be outside till like Ultra Bar didn't close till like 3, and we used to stay till the club closed, but don't stay till the club closed. Nothing really good happens after the club closed. And then I would be up and ready to go to work like I didn't have to be to work till 6:30, but I used to go in at 6 when I was serving opener. I would get there as early as possible, get all my side work done, open up, and be ready to leave at 2 or 3. And sometimes I would stay till 8. Like I was really, when I was a server, I was really in my bag, and it's like I would go back to serving, but my body cannot withstand that. No sir. So yeah, that's my little rant on that. How I got there, I was talking about the niggas jumping off the stage with the kneecaps, and it was so funny because it was also weird being in there because you could tell everybody there was young. Everybody there was young, and I know I'm not, like, I'm still young, but like not that young, you know. I'm pushing 28. I'm pushing 30. So what was it? Their parents were in the back and they had did a remix. They had incorporated what is it? Bend it over, let that coochie breathe, shake that ass for Drake that ass for me. So of course the crowd was going like ah, and the parents in the background the whole time they were there with like their cameras up, And then when that song came on, they all looked really confused. Like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, so it was like they were real hyped and they got off the stage. Then these two DJs came on and they was doing it, and then all of a sudden you see on the screen Smino, and then people were getting hyped. And then I was like, I was just expecting a little bit more, but then I was like, also, this probably isn't really that big of a deal for him. So like, why go all out? And so then I looked down and I recognized him because he had posted a video of him like signing posters, and then he was like hyping up, and then he came on stage, and I was really hyped, but I couldn't hear my baby daddy the whole show. So, I was sad about that, and it just really was feeling like he didn't want to be there. Um, and he had like, because the mic system was just being stupid, and it could have just been the acoustics of like the setup of the room. He was like tapping on the mic like, yo, fix my shit, and they never did. So I guess at that point he was like, all right, you said fuck it, I said fuck it. um so yeah, let's go to commercial break. Oh, May is masturbation month, and I've been so busy masturbating, I haven't gotten the chance to make ads. So use the link in the description and use code BBMango30 at Balesa checkout to save 30% off your next nut and masturbate with me all month long. And while you're at it, head on over to Patreon and join one of the tiers so you can experience behind the scenes pole play, toy talk, where I talk about all these lovely toys, and tales of a sensual fendom. Y'all know it gets crazy. Back to the show. Oh, fuck. Okay, May is masturbation month. And the goal is in fact to masturbate or orgasm every single day of May. And so far, I have met my goal. We are 7 days in. Today is the 7th. Today is the 7th. So we are 7 days into a orgasmic masturbation filled May. I love that for me. My pelvic bone kind of hurts a little bit because I really been like no, wait, because I really like went and like did that shit, and I was like, ooh, that shit is sore. So really, I need to start looking into other types of masturbation. You know, it's not all about the nice, good old clit stimulation. Um, so I did want to talk. It was interesting though that all of this discourse around like Drake and Kendrick came up because um I wanted to talk about the presentation I had to give for my psychopathology class. So I focused on sexual dysfunction and paraphilic disorders. And so paraphilic disorders, first of all, a paraphilia is anything, and I made this cute little presentation. It's so cute. So I'm reading from my presentation. So if at any point it sounds scripted, it's because it is. But yeah, so a paraphilia is basically an unusual sex interest, which is like my whole life right now. Kink, fetishism, all of that. So, um, reading from this slide, um, so there was this really cute picture that I included, and it was like it's like a heel, and then it has like tiers, and it's saying there's 4 different levels of fetishism. So the first one is like, I prefer a woman who wears high heels. Is like the picture cuts off. Yeah, the picture. Can I find it on my laptop? I might have. Oh, here it is. Oh fuck! I gotta put it back. Put it back. Put it back. Put back. What you mean it don't exist no more, bro? This damn thing, I can't fucking. Oh, I hate technology sometimes. It won't let me put it back because it said it don't exist no more, and it won't let me open it up because it's in the trash and I need to recover it. What the fuck? But I don't remember if it said like paraphilia or what it said. because it like classified it. So then the next step up is if a woman doesn't wear, and these are examples. If a woman doesn't wear high heels, then she's not attractive to me. So the condition in which like you the if she wears high heels or not is what attracts you to her. So that has to be a part of the element in order for you to be attracted. Then like the next tier up is like high heels have to be involved if I'm gonna have sex with a woman. So maybe like you know, she come in and they come in with like some heels and you're like, ooh yeah, I need to fuck you right now. You don't even want her to take the shoes off. You might start kissing them or whatever. Then you have the highest levels, like fuck her, just give me the shoes. Okay, all I need is the shoes. Forget the woman, forget the sex, I just want to jerk off with the shoes. So maybe you sticking your dick in that heel, who knows, none of my business. Okay, you do you, I do not kink shame. So when it comes to what classifies it as a disorder, you have 8 different classifications. So, paraphilic disorders are a group of conditions that are characterized by intense sexual arousal to atypical objects, situations, fantasies, behaviors, or individuals that either cause distress, impairment, or harm to yourself or others. And the treatment for these may involve therapy that is aimed at managing and understanding these impulses. So it comes down to 8, which are voyeuristic disorder. These are your peeping toms, people who are spying on other people, right? So some of us have like this, we are voyeurs, especially if you go to like a sex club, or a dungeon. You have voyeurs and you have exhibitionists. Exhibitionists, so excuse me, let me finish these seeds. I put a lot of seeds in my mouth. I don't really know why I did that. Also, I need to stop eating all the seeds because I want to make an ASMR video. Did I finish that though? I don't think so. So I have a video of me. Oh, that's how I got into the whole cooking thing. Turkey burgers. So I have been wanting to make it, but I also don't want to eat too much bread. So thinking about that. I might make them like next week. But I was thinking of having the one video of me chewing and eating the turkey burger. And then I was thinking of also taking like a video of maybe like an asparagus chip of my butt and then placing the what's it called? The audio over that. But we'll see how that goes. I'm almost done, y'all. Almost done. But in the meantime, sex work is work, okay? Shout out Goldie, because she had a post the other day that I really was just like, bitch, you saying it all. Sex work is work. First of all, you have to like come up with the marketing. You are branding yourself. Why should you buy my content over someone else's? And that's requiring consistency and all this other stuff that goes into it. Like, you are the writer, the producer, the editor, all of that shit. Your own PR team, your own accountant and financial. And, you know, once you get to a certain point, you can lend that responsibility, hire someone, or, you know, in this space, if you have a trustworthy enough sub to like take over some of those responsibilities. But you are like, it's entrepreneurship. I'm just using my attributes to bring in some coin. Anyway, I finished my seeds. So you have voyeuristic disorder, spying on others, your peeping toms. Then you have exhibitionist exhibitionistic disorder, which is exposing yourself to others. I actually had, when I was like doing this, it was so crazy because I remember when I was younger, this fucking sicko, um, at a we were at a pool. We were at the neighborhood pool, and this dude came in his boxers and was in the corner of the pool, just like really jerking the fuck off. Um, yeah, they kicked him out, and that was we used to see him on the bus, like he was. Anyway, so yeah, it becomes an issue when you're doing things like this, spying on people in their home, exposing yourself in general public to people. Like, now, if you're in the context of like a sex party or a dungeon, like whatever kind of party it is, there's going to be things happening. So in that way, you're kind of like more of an exhibitionist if you're choosing to be like naked and stuff. And then the voyeurs, like we're naturally voyeurs in settings like that because it's just so much going on, and you're just like, oh, what's this? What's that? So you don't have the issue there. Now, if you find yourself outside that girl house at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to see a titty through the damn window, baby, go get help, okay? If you feel the need to just be in public and take your pants down and just start whacking it off, go seek help. So then you have fraturistic, I don't really know, disorder, which is touching and rubbing others inappropriately. You have sexual masochism disorder, enduring pain. So if you are a masochist, that means you like pain. I would say I'm definitely a masochist. To a certain extent. I'm not an extreme masochist, but I like a little like ooh, ooh, and then sexual sadism disorder, which is inflicting, and you see a lot like with like the serial killers and things of that nature. Like they'll call them a sadist. And then you have paraphillic disorder, the focus on children. Interesting that there's transvestic disorder, which is cross-dressing. And then you have fetishistic disorder, which is like the attraction to non-living or non-genital things. So these 8 are what classify as your paraphilic disorders according to the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistics Manual. This is the Diagnostic Statistics Manual TR5, which means Text Revision 5, which this one came out in 2022. And so when you break those 8 down, you have animalis activity and animalis target. So when you go, and I know I'm saying some big words, so your animalis activity preferences are going to be, these refer to the ones that address those unusual or uncommon interests and behaviors in that deviate from societal norms. And so you have, that is like, you have animalis activity. Then under that, you have 2 other types. So courtship is going to be your voyeuristic, your exhibitionistic, and your fratuistic. And these are like altered. This is how you interact with other people. So the voyeuristic, spying on others, the exhibitionistic, exposing yourself, and then fratuistic, touching and rubbing. This is like that unusual behavior in connection with someone or others. And then you have algolagnic. Send corrections to 2scripters1poll@gmail.com. Send stories, questions, topics, and questions to questions, stories, topics, and corrections to 2scripters1poll@gmail.com. We're getting there. So algolagnic pertains to the experience, like basically that sadism and masochism, that inflicting or enduring pain. So that's like the activity. Doing this is where you derive that joy, and then it can cause harm to yourself or others. So by spying on others, by touching or rubbing people inappropriately, by exposing yourself to others, by inflicting or enduring pain, that is the activity. Then you have animalis target preferences, and this refers to like the atypical, unusual, inappropriate attraction to something or someone. So you have directed at others, pedophilia, and then you have directed elsewhere, you're fetishistic. That's like fetishizing the item. So we have like shoe fetish or like smoke fetish, um, like just almost the whole world of kink and fetish. Like this has to be, maybe you don't want to fuck them unless y'all got a J. Like you need to see that person smoking, and that's not a issue unless like you tying them down and forcing them. If that wasn't consensual, if that wasn't agreed upon, like y'all didn't talk about it, don't tie that person up. Let them have their hands free. Okay, everything, this is like, and they don't talk about this either in here, but I think like the biggest thing, because I'll get into that next, is like, where does it cross the line of being harmful to someone else or yourself? But I think something like a lot that we talked about, which I'll talk more in like the sexual dysfunctions because I'm getting ready to go to that. But like a lot of this is in the BDSM context and really should be extended elsewhere, because consent is permission. Do you, like, we need to normalize using the word consent. You want to use my pen? Like, yes, I give you consent to use my pen. And people might think like, oh, that's so extra. But if we normalize it, because people just automatic, when you hear consent, like people automatically just think of like, I don't know what goes through people's head, but all it is permission. Like I remember I was telling one of my friends about how like one of my exes had made a purchase without my consent, and it ended up like they made the purchase, and it ended up being my responsibility to help maintain the purchase, when it was like we did a while back have a conversation about this purchase, but like it was really just kind of, well, I thought it was just a casual conversation, like, oh, what if? Then the nigga was like, oh, okay, then went and did it, and it was like, did this, here you go, help me maintain it. The fuck. So I was telling that story, and I was like, he didn't really have my consent. And then he was like, hold on, what you mean consent? I was like, no, I'm not talking in that way. I'm literally just saying he didn't have my permission to do that. Like, we had a conversation 2 weeks later. He literally sent me a screenshot like, yeah, I bought this. This is coming on this day. What? Oh, okay. And like, I didn't really have much of a say. So yeah, we just really need to normalize that. And so something that I'm going to talk about later in this is like also thinking about the considerations, like some people might be into more extreme sadism, or masochism, but are they like, did they have this conversation, do they agree in it? Hold on, I'm texting my coworker, which I need to pack up and go to work soon. Where's my keyboard when you need it? Where did my presentation go? Yes. So don't think like, first of all, consent. Do you have the consent? But also think about how extreme this is. Are y'all practicing? I'll have an episode more in depth about that, but like, are you aware of the risk associated with whatever it is you and your partner are getting ready to do, explore? And are you like, did you talk about, everything? What are the hard limits? What are the soft limits? What's okay? What's not okay? Do y'all have a safe word of when to stop? So maybe like, you are a sadist and you're dealing with a masochist, and y'all are in the middle of the scene, and the sadist is really going a little bit further than you had anticipated. Do you have those systems in place to remain safe? So I don't want anybody thinking, oh my God, I'm so attracted to shoes, or I'm so attracted to crop tops. It just make me go crazy. I have a disorder. No. It's okay. So yes, animalist target preferences, directed at others, pedophilia, directed elsewhere is fetishistic and transvestic, which I'm still just trying to really figure out why transvestic is in there. I don't see how. So you have cross dressing. The only way I could see that this is like harmful to others, if like you're at the point where you are stealing others' clothes. I feel like in order to fulfill this need of cross dressing. But then you can also kind of think like, you know, but, and I think I'll go on a different episode. I don't know when, but on a different episode, I'll go more into this because originally my plan was to tap, and there's so many that were under both, and our presentation was only supposed to be like 15 minutes. So I really wanted to focus on, like, one day in class we had a lot of conversation around two of the sexual dysfunctions that I'm going to talk about in a moment, and pedophilia. And I wanted to focus on those. And so I had started my more in-depth research on pedophilia, but when I was already, the assignment was already late, okay? So I was like trying to catch up, and then second, it was just like, once I started reading it, it was just a lot to take in, and I kind of had to be like, whew, okay, I'm gonna come back to this. And so from what I can remember, transvestic, when we had that conversation, like, when I was doing this, I didn't go deep into each, but I wanted to take some time. Once the semester was over, this is my last week, y'all. I'm almost done. I'm so close to being done. Thank God. Oh my God. So I'm planning on taking some more personal time with these. And we were originally talking about transvestic. The description was like, you have this over compulsion to like the clothes, and you're obsessing over how you look, and, like, you know, feminizing yourself, or vice versa, emasculating yourself. And it was really just kind of like, it felt very discriminatory, and I don't want to say necessarily, I don't know if I would say homophobic, but and some people will argue that's the same, but we're not going down that road. It felt like it was describing more of obsessive compulsive disorder, with the object of attraction being clothing. It did not feel like they needed to include this in a paraphilic disorder. And I really just don't see exactly how this, you know, I just need to read up more. Shout out to one of my cohort members, because you can say anything in class, and then within a minute or two, she got an article, or a whole article, a whole book, whatever. She be on it. So when we were talking about this, she found, and we were talking about, like, this sounds more like OCD. She found a article that was centered around a 17-year-old male who was diagnosed with transvestic disorder, OCD, and something else. I can't remember what it was. So I saved it, but I haven't gotten a chance to read it. So I am interested in going more into that. But anyway, so these 8 are what classifies as them. There are many types of paraphilias outside of this. The ones that are listed in the DSM are the ones that can cause potential harm and are classified as criminal offenses. So in order to be a paraphilic disorder, you have criteria A, which is like, what is the nature of the paraphilia? What are you drawn to? And then criterion B, what are the negative consequences of said paraphilia? So if A and B, if you have this inappropriate attraction to something, or unusual attraction to something, and it comes with negative consequences, this would be the paraphilic disorder. It would qualify for diagnosis classification. But if you only have the paraphilia with no negative consequences, then it's just the paraphilia, not a disorder. And remember, the negative consequence is like, is it bringing harm to others or yourself? Can you go to jail for this? Okay. So that's all I'm really going to touch on paraphilic. And so I thought it was just interesting, though, that, like, all this pedo conversation is going around. And I'm like, wow. I was reading that article. But also, like, how rooted all of this is. So if you have been a victim, I send you light and love, and hope that you can heal from that. So then the second part of the presentation is sexual dysfunctions. So there are, I'll just read them. What is classified as a sexual dysfunction? Delayed ejaculation, erectile disorder, female orgasmic disorder, female sexual interest arousal disorder, genital pelvic pain penetration disorder, male hypoactive sexual desire disorder, premature early ejaculation, substance medication induced sexual dysfunction, other specified sexual dysfunction, or unspecified sexual dysfunction. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different things. So these are any difficulty in responding sexually or feeling pleasure in a significant way. Excuse me. And the clinician should consider whether the sexual issue stems from insufficient stimulation or lack of understanding. And I'll get a little bit more into that. Out of all of these, I decided to focus on female sexual interest arousal disorder, which is FSIAD, or male hypoactive sexual desire disorder, which is MHSDD, because both of them are literally saying like you don't have a sexual interest, or you're unable to get aroused from like the thought of sex, engaging in sex. You just aren't responding. And so we were really trying to figure out like what was the purpose of separating them, right? Because it's literally the same. So in general, you have like for these two, FSIAD and MHSDD, you have subjective and you have genital, or you have combined. So what that means, subjective is you can get physically aroused. However, like the conversation, the thought of it, like talking about it, thinking about it, like reading things about it doesn't really interest you. And then genital is like you might have thoughts and things about it, but like your body is not responsive. And if anybody has like more better definitions, or like, oh no, like what are you talking about, that's wrong, please send corrections to twoscrippers1pole@gmail.com. And then you have combined, where there is no interest and there is no arousal. So, we were, like I said, we were trying to figure out like why does it need to be separated? What is the purpose? And so in the research that I did, they are the same thing. The DSM actually quite literally says that it says, and I don't know if this is verbatim because I was like trying to paraphrase in some parts, but both diagnoses can be applicable. I just be saying words sometimes. Applicable to individuals with diverse gender identities. And when, as a clinician, when diagnosing these, you should actually diagnose it based on their current presenting anatomy rather than assigned at birth. So it's just like, what the fuck was the point? Because if you have a transgender male, so they were born female at birth and then they transitioned to male. If they did a gender reassignment and had a wee-wee, then you would diagnose them with male hypoactive sexual desire disorder. However, if they're a transgender male and they did not get any like gender reassignment surgery, and they still have their cootie cat, I was trying to say coochie, but I said cootie cat, then you would give them female sexual interest arousal disorder. Both of them used to be, before this change, it used to just be hypoactive sexual desire disorder, but they felt the need to separate the two and then say, oh yeah, we separated, but you might still see the diagnosis as HSDD. What was the reason? Shout out Cardi B. What was the reason? And so when I did this presentation, I thought it was like part of what we had to do was look up like the cultural considerations, and kind of look up statistics, like who's affected by this. And I really didn't see a lot of information on like race reporting or anything like that, race or ethnicity. Um, a lot of it was rooted in just like what is that person's exposure to sex education, exposure to sex, like what are their cultural and religious beliefs around it, like what is the general feeling and attitude towards sex, and have they been introduced properly, and really properly is subjective. And just I noticed a lot of like how it's portrayed. So even when I looked up male hypoactive sexual desire disorder, um it was like pictures of a man and a woman, and the man is showing interest even though the criteria for it is you don't have interest, but they're advancing onto the woman and the woman is shying away, even though we're focusing on male hypoactive sexual desire disorder. So it was like a lot of incongruencies with depictions I noticed. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. But like just looking at hypoactive sexual desire disorder, I also thought it was interesting in the wording of the two, of like female sexual interest and arousal versus male hypoactive. Hypoactive means lower. It is the opposite of hyperactive, and we usually think of men being more like sexually just motivated, just I gotta put my dick in the hole somewhere. So this the wording of it is just kind of like what the fuck. And we talk a lot, or women are portrayed a lot as like, oh, I'm just too tired, I'm just not this, like. So wording is important. So for any kind of hypoactive sexual desire disorder, there are 4 criteria. It be all types of crazy noise in this building. Criteria A is just the general lack of. Y'all need some oil on them brakes. Is it general lack of or reduced sexual interest or arousal? So that has to be there. Are you turned on? Okay. Then criteria B is, has this lasted for at least 6 months? And then C, it has to cause significant distress for the individual, or like if they're in a relationship, like just it's causing issues to the relationship. And then criteria D is, this is not like your sexual lack of or reduced sexual interest and arousal is not better explained by non-sexual mental disorder, so like depression or something of the sort, partner violence, or severe relationship or personal distress, and it's not attributable to any medication, any drugs, or like other medical conditions. I found in this that a lot of like endocrine system stuff could be going on as well. And a lot of these are comorbid. So comorbid means that they just like concur at the same time. So a lot of like with hypoactive sexual desire disorder, female interest, the other one, because they're the same thing. With these two, they usually have a comorbidity, usually like with like genital pelvic pain. So you don't have an interest in sex because every time you have sex, it hurts. You can also think about like endometriosis. You probably don't want to have sex because that like it's a lot of other things that could be going on. Or like maybe you nut too early, premature ejaculation, or it takes you forever to come, so you're just like, I don't even want to be having sex for 4 or 5 hours or however long it takes you to come. Erectile dysfunction. So a lot of these happen together. So you have those 4. If it's like, yeah, okay, I don't have the interest or arousal, it's been at least 6 months, it is causing me some stress, and it's not because I'm depressed or whatever else. So you meet the criteria, and at that point you have to specify whether it's like it's been like this my whole lifelong, or it's acquired ever since this happened. And then is it generalized, as in like just I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. It doesn't matter who, what, no, I'm not turned on. or is it situational, like in certain places with certain people? And then you specify if it's mild, moderate, or severe. So, like, some of these, you have a reduced sexual arousal, or receptiveness. So you maybe don't initiate, or like if your partner initiates, you're just like, not really feeling it. You don't really have that desire. You don't really have thoughts or fantasies. You have difficulty even orgasming if you find yourself in that position to have any kind of sexual activity. And you're not even interested in masturbating. So, what I found, which I've kind of already mentioned, is the biggest difference is just like how they're portrayed in society and culture. And when it came to criterion A, both of the criteria, for both disorders are saying you do not have interest in sex. Um, but I thought it was interesting that for FSIAD, it says that you must meet at least 3 of the 6 identified symptoms, all which address. I'm not gonna go like down what they are, because I don't know where that paper went, and it's a little bit of a hassle to like pull it up. But there's 6 different criteria, listed under FSIAD, and you have to meet at least 3 of them. But they're all literally just saying the same thing. Like they all are describing a lack of, or a reduce in sexual interest and arousal. Whereas when you go under MHSDD, it says persistent, deficient, or absence of sexual and erotic thoughts or fantasies, and the desire for sexual activity. The judgment of deficiency is made by the clinician, taking into account general and socio-cultural context and age. So what the DSM is saying is like, in the woman perspective, the female perspective, you have to have like boom, boom, boom out of the 6. With the males, it's saying, he hasn't had this interest in however long, but really, did he lose his job recently? Did he lose some money? Like, what happened? Why is this like, yeah, it might have been happening for 6 months, but like, let's really consider, like, is this something else? Okay, interesting. What else I found interesting was that under FSIAD, they mentioned hypersexuality as well. It was like a brief sentence. They didn't really go into it. But it said like, the whole point of this diagnosis is the lack of interest. And so they're also apparently including hypersexuality in this. Whereas there's no mention of male hypersexual activity. So that was another interesting finding. And because that's the next slide. So things to consider, that goes into this. What is the person's, or if you're thinking about yourself, what are the expectations and norms of what an appropriate interest is, right? And what I mean by that is, if I say the word hookup, everybody listening or watching to this probably had a different thought. Maybe some are similar, but when you say hookup, sometimes people think kissing, some people think having sex, some people include like anal, not like, so it's different. We all have different understandings, and exposure to sexual activity, whatever that sexual activity is. So we're usually on different pages. So the first thing to consider is, what is this person considering an appropriate level of interest? What is their experience like? Maybe they never really they haven't really had sex, and all you've done is like missionary, and you guys aren't talking. Like, I know, like you and your partner, you're just having sex to have sex, or whatever the case may be. Y'all don't have communication, y'all don't explore, and so it's literally just like, we lay on the bed, I'm a missionary, you ram your dick in me, and it's like, ear, and then you come or we don't or whatever, like, so you just never really had good sex. So you're just like, it's nothing out there for me. I'm not interested because every time I've had sex is whatever. And you just don't know anything about different positions or whatever. Do you and your partner? Poor techniques or experiences. The lack of education. Sexual education is damn near non-existent. I know in America, I don't know where else. But it's such a controversial topic, and it's like, oh my god, I speak for myself. When I say that we should be having sex ed in as little as elementary school, and I mean, I think it even goes back to like this whole pedo conversation, right? And it's not victim blaming or anything, but if you're equipping your children to recognize predatory behavior and understanding, like when we're talking about teaching sexual education, at least when I'm talking about it and the people that I surround myself, when we're talking about sexual education in the elementary school level, we are talking about consent. Good touch, bad touch. Does this person, like, you don't know this person, why are they touching you here? Did you say that they could touch you here? That. Because those are the kids, like, you're not equipping them with any knowledge or any understanding. You're just thinking like, oh, okay, uncle is family, that's blood, he's supposed to be good. But little do you know, uncle's watching and touching and doing all this other stuff. But if you're equipping them with the vocabulary of, and like, you know, giving them the autonomy to like speak up and advocate for themselves, you are less likely, fingers crossed, because there's always exceptions, but you're better equipping them. Y'all, I'm getting mad. So yeah, so you just have, you know, we're so focused on abstinence only education, and there's, oh my god, sexual, ooh, everything overlaps. And if you are not equipping these babies, or just even not fuck the babies, but that was crazy, but like, if we're not talking about it in a healthy way, like, that's how people just start Googling random shit or just doing things and not knowing any better, and people get hurt, mentally, physically, emotionally. So the lack of education, and it's like, we all got on this earth because of sex. Somebody has sex and produced us. So why don't we talk about it? Y'all want to sit here and make people think that fucking babies come out the goddamn sky. Anyway, that is this, but that isn't that. So what partner factors, or relationship factors are going on as well? Does a person have any individual vulnerability? So like, are they struggling with their body image or their self-esteem, or like what internal work are they struggling with that could affect their interest or arousal? Is there any psychiatric comorbidities like depression or anxiety or anything else going on? What are the stressors? You know, what is their job looking like? Their finances? What are they in school? Like, what is going on that could be taking and holding their attention? Cultural and religious factors. You know, some people are just like, I can't have sex till I'm married, and so that then whatever else. And a lot of women, what I found too is like, you know, women are so shamed for being sexually inclined, wanting to have, like, yo, we all be horny, okay? Like, and which doesn't make any sense, because as males, y'all want to stick y'all dick in a vagina for the most part. So why you mad that the vagina want, like, y'all? So that just makes me think like, y'all really just out here fucking and don't, like, y'all don't care if she like it or not. That's crazy. So yeah, a lot of women in cultures, you know, the whole Jezebel, things like that. What is that? How are we considering that? And then what medical factors? Is there like another condition that is going on that could be contributing to this? So what was interesting is asexuality. How does asexuality fall into all of this? So the DSM only mentions asexuality under female sexual interests and arousal disorder. It is not mentioned under male hypoactive sexual desire disorder, only FSIAD. And it is one of those quick sentences, and it says that if a lifelong diagnosis, so you've been feeling a lack of interest in sex, or a lack of arousal in sex since like the beginning of time, the beginning of your time, if a lifelong diagnosis is not better explained by self identification as asexuality, then there should not, like, if the person self identifies as asexual, then you should not make a diagnosis of FSIAD. And it also states that the main difference between like giving someone this disorder, this disorder diagnosis, versus like someone identifying as asexual, the main difference is like, is the lack of interest in arousal causing this person distress in any way? So what I mean, obviously I found it interesting that it was only mentioned under female. And so I went to, there's like some infographics that I have on here that I'm about to read off that I did get from the Trevor Project. So it was saying that like asexual isn't an abstinence because of a bad relationship. It's not abstinence because of religious reasons. It's not celibacy. It's not sexual repression, aversion, or dysfunction. It's not the loss of libido due to age or circumstance. It's not fear of intimacy, and it's not the inability to find a partner. Another term for asexuality, some people call themselves aces, is like, it says aces might want friendship, understanding, and empathy. They might fall in love. They might experience arousal and orgasm. They might choose to masturbate. They might choose to engage in sexual activity. They may be of any gender, age, or background, and they might even have a spouse or children. They just don't have that like they just don't have that sexual interest as often. Oh, the sun is coming out. What time is it? Okay. Oh, I'm doing good. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. So anyway, and I'll put the link in the description. There was a video that they linked to, or was it on the Trevor Project? I don't know if it was on the website directly or if I Googled it, but I found a video, which I'll link, which was interesting. It was by Tinder. I didn't even know Tinder had a YouTube page. But they did like this whole ad on asexuality. So I thought this was interesting that the specification that a lifelong had to be, wouldn't be considered a disorder if the person self-identified. This is assuming that the person even has the vocabulary to identify themselves as asexual. So if you are not doing any kind of sexual education, you haven't been exposed to this, you only like your only concept of like sexual expressions, whatever word, because there's so many words these days, but in regards to sex, if your only knowledge of like the sexual LGBTQ spectrum is like gay, lesbian, bi, straight, you don't have the word to identify as asexual. So that already like knocks it. You're going to get this disorder. You don't have that vocabulary. And then the other thing that is interesting is like this mandate or requirement of feeling distressed. When you look at a lifelong diagnosis, this means from the womb, you have not liked the sex, okay? You've not been interested in the sex, right? I think about development, human development. Middle school, high school is like a cesspool for sex. That's all, especially middle school. That's all middle schoolers for the most part 8 times out of 10, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10 because I know some people really just be in there trying to play Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Do they still play Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever else? But your typical middle schooler and high schooler is going to be talking about and possibly even engaging in sexual activity. So this is a time in your adolescence where literally your development is you're searching for your identity for yourself, but in relation to others. You have friend groups, you're looking for friends, you're looking to identify yourself. So if you, as a teenager, are in a group of other teenagers and everybody's talking about sex and you don't have an interest, it might cause you some fucking distress. What's wrong with me? Why am I not interested in sex? Like, yeah, I'm attractive and people are attracted to me, but I'm just not interested in everybody's talking about I fuck this or I fuck that and da 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 da. Is that not distressing? So I rest my case, but there was like it was a lot there that I was just like, so when it comes to treatment, and I definitely am like so interested to look more into all of this when it comes to treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, you can incorporate journaling, just kind of like when you have an interaction and it doesn't, just kind of write about that, figure out if you notice any patterns or things like that, or maybe you need to do some kind of breathing exercises to kind of help you, like maybe try masturbating by yourself and like breathing through it. And I believe, I haven't looked too much into it, so please correct me politely if I'm wrong, but I believe that like breathing while doing sexual activity is like some part of tantric work, which I don't have the definition of that. Eventually I'll probably talk about tantric sex, but I haven't actually opened up that book yet. You can do sex therapy, estrogen, testosterone, or hormone therapy, medication adjustment. Maybe your meds are making it not interesting for you. Counseling, whether that's individual or it's like couples counseling. Maybe you need to make some lifestyle changes, exercise more or less, change your diet. And yeah, so how the other thing that is really important about this is, in order to even determine if you have any kind of, like from the first 10 that I said, if you have any kind of sexual dysfunction. Well, first for this specifically, they'll do a decreased sexual desire questionnaire, and then they may also do like blood tests because, like I said, there's a lot of comorbidity with other things. They'll do a blood test to assess your hormone levels and see like, do you have something going on with like your thyroid or I don't speak anatomy, something else going on in like your endocrine system or some other part of the body that could be affecting this lack of interest in sex. But in order to even get there, this requires a person to self-advocate for themselves. Like when you go to the doctor and you say like, yo doc, like I really been trying to fuck and it ain't been working, you have to initiate that conversation, because in your typical physical or whatever other thing, and also this is like a sidebar, I had wrote it down when I was making this presentation, but I don't really remember. I didn't look more into it. Like, do males have a gynecologist, or like what is there a male equivalent, or do gynecologists also see males? Like, cause let's also talk about how y'all be fucking breeding grounds for STDs and y'all symptoms don't be showing up right away, so y'all running around just infecting everybody. That's why y'all use rubber duckies. Latex is great sex. You better wear latex cause you don't want that latex. That I think I'm latex. Shout out Wayne. But also we don't want no STDs. Okay. Stay safe out in these streets. Okay. Get tested every 3 to 6 months. Whether you are sexually active or not, because like I've said many and many times, it's cases where you ain't had no sex, but then all of a sudden that shit go from being dormant and it is rapid fire in your system, and now you have STD. So just stay on top of your sexual health. If you have a partner, go get tested together. Y'all should be having that open and honest conversation regardless. So why not, like, go out for a date, go get tested, and like go grab dinner or something. I don't know, but make it sexy. Keep it cute and sexy. Yeah, so back to this. This requires you, I don't know if males have a gynecologist or an equivalent. But this requires you to be able to come up to your doctor and express, like, I'm having difficulties. How do I move forward? What do I do? What is the next step to fix it? And I put fix in quotation marks. Um and so things that will usually hinder that is, what is that person's relationship with their doctor? Is this a doctor that they see once a year for their physical? You may not be as comfortable disclosing your sexual activity to the doctor. Because maybe you have disclosed it to them before, and they might have made like a backhanded comment or something like that. Also, just like, what is your, going back to the considerations, like, what is your expectation or your just attitudes and belief surrounded by sex? Have you been shamed for it a lot? When it came to reporting, there was less reporting from women than there were men. Men were more likely to report these instances, and women are slut shamed so much more than men. So, and maybe something's going on, but they don't want to go to the doctor and then possibly get exposed to other people that are, in their family or surrounded by them. So it's a lot of things. At the end of the day, we need better sexual education. Yes, 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 we do. Yeah, that is my tidbit. I think that's all that I want to say. Mango's message. Have open and honest conversations about sex. If you are experiencing a dysfunction or like a inappropriate attraction to whatever I may have listed in the beginning of this whole presentation, seek help and understanding, managing, and what is your impulses. What I will say, and eventually I'll go into an episode that is a little bit more in depth about it, because I'm not equipped to have the conversation or educate on it, as I have not done the research yet. All I can really speak of is like from a victim standpoint. But what I've been hearing in conversation with like other therapists, and just like other people who have experienced like group therapy or any kind of therapy, is that like it's not excusing it at all. And there are just some really sick people out here. And if you are a truly sick individual, your karma will come. You will get what you rightfully deserve. But my understanding too, and it's like you can take it out of sex. You can take it out of like in like just a criminal offense, like hurt people. A lot of victims are victims themselves, and are just like, a lot of these things are cyclical. So understanding your impulses, what is driving you to do things, and how are you holding yourself accountable and like really trying to be better and do better. And I think we can apply that to anything in life. How are you holding yourself accountable? How are you trying to be better, do better? Make sure you masturbate this month. I'm out, y'all. Be safe. Make good choices.